on, guys? It's your boy Alex West Collects here, bringing you another figure review. Today from ringsidecollectibles.com, we have the brand new Ultimate Edition Series 11, the Undertaker and Kane. If you are interested in owning these figures, head over to ringsidecollectibles.com right now. Use promo code 4LIFE to save 10% off your order at checkout. And this was a pleasant surprise because these figures were not supposed to be in stock till, I think, early November. It's early to mid-October. And here we are with the Undertaker and Kane. I feel like a lot of people slept on this Taker after we saw the images at, I guess was the last reveal. It just did not look good. I know a lot of people said it looked like Michael Jackson. I have to agree. But, you know, the final finished product looks a hell of a lot better than anticipated. And I feel like a lot of people are now rushing to grab Taker. So I think they're both on back order on Ringside, but definitely check those damage package section. If you are not a mock collector, usually the figures are in good shape. The boxes may have a few dings if you don't want to wait till November. But here we are, Taker and Kane, looking at the figures in the packaging. You get the standard Ultimate Edition box, Undertaker and Kane at the top. On the side, you have the nameplates. On the other side, you have the images of Taker and Kane. On the back, you have the read-up. And I am so excited. I know this Undertaker has been highly anticipated. We finally have a 1998 Undertaker with that coat. So, you know, let's crack these figures out of the packaging. Remember, with the Ultimate Edition line, you get these little Easter eggs on the top and bottom of the packaging. So for Kane, on the top, it says, "Through Hellfire and Brimstone, it's Kane." And on the bottom, it says, "The Big Red Machine." For Taker, it says, "Rest in peace." And on the bottom, it says, "You can't hide from the dead man." I hope you guys are ready. We're going to do a nice, long, in-depth review of these guys. I have a ton of comparisons lined up. But jumping into the dead man, first, we're going to go accessories. So you get two open hands, which we've seen plenty of times with the Undertaker. They are the same MMA gloves that we've seen over and over again. You also do get the thumb and the open hand, so he can do that pose right before he does a tombstone. Though I don't think this Undertaker did that pose when he stuck the tongue out. That was more of a later run, but correct me if I'm wrong. Heads, you do get kind of a more like plain stoic Undertaker head. I know a lot of people are complaining, saying that this looked like an old man Undertaker. I can see the resemblance here. For when he kind of had that 98 run, he would have his hair slicked back like this. So this one doesn't bother me too much. I know a lot of people were saying he never did this tongue out pose till later. Agreed, but you know what? It's an extra head. I don't know what else they would have thrown in if they were to give us another head. Maybe hair in the front, kind of like the Hall of Fame figure, or the Legends figure. That would have been a little different of an option. And also, you do get this nice coat for his WrestleMania 14 entrance. Got the nice detailing on the top. This is a very hard, heavy plastic. If you guys have been collecting the Mattel line from the beginning, it feels more like the original kind of plastic. Not quite as pliable as the plastic that we've been seeing with, you know, the current kind of release figures with different vests or jackets. And the back is also kind of a softer plastic than this, I will say. So keep in mind, this head itself is the only one you can put on with the jacket. The other ones have the long hair in the back. Let me pop it off, I'll show you. So the way it's sculpted in the back, it sits where it can sit over the jacket. This head will not fit over here. These are strictly made for with the jacket removed. So that's something to keep in mind. And let's take a look at all three heads while we can. Personally, the middle one I think is my favorite. I definitely will be getting another Undertaker display without the coat, but for now, this is going to be my go-to head. The one that was supposed to look like Michael Jackson, which, if you ask me, looks the best out of all three. But that's the head designs, and we'll remove the coat. And this actually buckles pretty easy. I had no issues with it. I know sometimes those vests or those like the Drew McIntyre kilt was a pain in the ass, but this buckles pretty nicely. You can remove it. Oh, let's take a look at the back while we're at it. Before we get that off, you can see a nice sculpting detail, the nice painted gold. The cape is actually, it's got some weight to it. It's not very light. If you can see the thickness there, I kind of like that. Definitely adds a little something extra to it. And just being a little careful. See, this is what I was saying as far as the plastic. It feels a little stiffer, where it's not as easy to remove. Like if you ever dealt with like the AEW figures that have those, you know, big rubbery jackets. They're a lot easier to get off than this. So being a little careful, I don't want to break them. And there you go. Again, this has some weight to it. This whole thing can probably stand up on its own if you angle it the right way. But take a look on the inside. See all the rubber. Got the nice slits at the bottom. Close up on the buckles on the front. I really do like the way this coat came out. It doesn't seem to really make the figure lose its balance, which is nice. Sometimes, like if you had that ringside Bret Hart with that all pink, holy shit, the jacket was too damn heavy and his feet just kept couldn't bear the weight and he just keep falling over. But that is the jacket. Let's get the head back on. Get this Undertaker situated a little nicer. Get his elbow pads up. So that's how that head looks on the Taker. And I know a lot of people were iffy on this torso. It doesn't look that bad in person. He should look a little bigger. He's a damn Undertaker. He's 6'10", 300 pounds. Like, I have no complaints about torso. I know a lot of people thought it looked a little weird. There's a little molded piece on here. It's glued on. So I don't know if he's got the tank top mold underneath. I can't really tell and don't really want to peel it back. But look at the nice sculpting, man. Got the crosses on the top. More of the gold beads over here. More buckles and stuff on the front of his torso. Even the pants have some nice detail into it. Look at that. So nice. Same on the other side. Take a look at the back. Got more of the gold beads going around. And this Undertaker does have bigger arms. I'm going to say this is probably the Ultimate Edition Brock Lesnar size arms, which is nice. Gives him a little more size because he was a lot bigger at that time. Take a look at the boots. You got the toe articulation. And I will say, my boot is really loosey-goosey. Even his knee is a little. But you know what? It's not an issue because that coat's got a lot of weight to it and he's not toppling over. So, you know, it may be a little loose. I hope that's not the case. I hope that's just maybe mine, but just something I wanted to note. And finally, these are like the first time I think we've ever gotten accurate boots for Taker. Usually it's the tall black lace ones. This is what he was wearing around that time frame. But looks nice. Let's get the other heads on here too. So we'll remove that head. Everyone's favorite. Pop that on. Oh, that doesn't look bad either. It's not accurate. I'm not going to be displaying it with this head at all. I'm with you guys, but it does look nice. This will be good if you guys have some of those other Undertakers with like the 2000 run. His head, a little tough to get off. And this is probably how I'm going to display him without the coat. That looks nice. I feel like that fits the era. I know some people are saying he looks too old, but it's a damn Undertaker. It looks pretty cool. And just to note, he is on ball joints. I know a lot of people have been asking that with my reviews. The Undertaker is on the ball joints, so he does have a little more articulation there. All in all, very nice. No complaints here. I really like this figure. It's got some nice details. This is something we've been waiting a long time for. I mean, I have a whole detail of Attitude Era figures, and I made a kind of a makeshift custom. I think it was a basic head and threw it on like the TRU Network Spotlight figure, and that kind of was like my placeholder for this Undertaker. But the second this was announced, I sold that off. So it's nice to have. You know, he's got the double jointed elbows as well. It's great for some more, you know, nice figure photography. But I'm in love with this figure. It's so good. Now, let's jump onto the big red machine, Kane accessories. You get the Attitude Era belt. You get the voice box, voice changer, which we have seen before with a lot of different Kanes. You get the plain black glove, as well as the other mic holding hand. Kind of light on the hand accessories, I'm surprised. With the Ultimate Edition, we get so many. Here's the other interchangeable head. And while we're at it, I'll bring in the other one so you get some head comparisons. Got the slick back look, kind of when his hair is wet, with the hair in the front on the other side. You also do get this nice coat, or cape, sorry. It's got some nice leather detailing. So Kane never actually wore this. He debuted, I think, at a house show. He wore this a few times. He was supposed to be Kane the Undertaker, or I think maybe the Undertaker. That was his original name when he was supposed to debut. But, you know, it's a nice added piece. I personally will not be displaying it with this. And just to note, I would pop the head off. You can see it Velcro's on in the front. Just to play it safe. I wouldn't want to feel like this could get damaged if you keep tugging it underneath the hair. So remove the head and take it off. If you want to put the other head on, see what that looks like. That's a slick back hair look. And, you know, this Kane figure, pretty standard to what we've seen with like Elite 12. The added extra articulation. He does have the butterfly joints. And you know what? While we're at it, does Taker have the butterfly joints? He does. Sorry I missed that, guys. But Taker does have the butterfly joints. That is a plus. Some added articulation. You do get the 2 open hands as well, so you can do that iconic pose when he walks in down at the entrance ramp. Take a look at the stud on the belt. This is a separate piece, so it does move. I wish it would have been molded. You do get the nice gauntlets as well. And here's something, we'll get to that. Let's continue looking at the attire. Get the red going through. Get the nice designs on the sides. More detailing as well. Also does have the... Is that accurate? I feel like Kane... Didn't he have lace boots when he debuted? Correct me if I'm wrong. I may be wrong. I'm just speaking off the top of my head, so don't tear me a new one if I'm wrong. But I thought I remember him having the lace boots, and they were glossy. Unless that's something he changed to later on. But you do get the toe articulation, and Kane is on the ratchet joint. It is not the ball joint, just to note. So articulation is going to be a little tighter down there. Take a look at the back. See a nice sculpt on the hair. The nice molded beads on the side. The arm exposed. Also the bigger arm, which I do appreciate. These are definitely the same arms as the Ultimate Edition Brock Lesnar. Same as the one on the Undertaker. And I'm going to take a look at the hair sculpt for both in the back. Now here's the gripe, and it's a big one. And I don't know if this is going to be a running change or not, but this pisses me off, man. Look at what Mattel forgot to do. It is skin tone painted on the arm. I want to guess and say this whole arm is painted. Just looking at the texture, you can see the difference with the molding and how kind of glossy this is. I'm thinking to save as a cost cutter, they probably took the Brock Lesnar molded arm, painted it red. I mean, if you're going to paint it, at least, I hate when they paint stuff like this. This just... And are you going to see it if it's on display? Like, if I leave him here, or if he's doing, you know, one of his iconic poses up, you're not going to see it. But still, this is a premium figure. You know, and the prices on these guys are going up. I mean, forget ringside. At retail, they're already $33. So, I mean, this I don't think is acceptable for that price point. I'm sorry. Mattel needs to do better. I don't know if they missed it. I don't know if there's going to be a running change, but that is something I did want to point out, and that was disappointing. I mean, even when we got the Elite 12 version, he kind of had, if you guys remember this, the actual pin in there was painted skin tone. So if you had him doing the pose, you can see the skin tone painted joint underneath, which we will do some comparisons, and I will point that out. But overall, I do like this figure, but that is really annoying. Moving on to some comparisons. So I do have a bunch of different mask Kanes to bring in. So I have the Survivor Series Elite from last year. I have the Decade of Domination Kane. The ringside exclusive Kane as Undertaker. Let's swap these guys out because the attires are pretty similar. And moving him aside, the one everyone wants to see, the Legends, or excuse me, Elite Series 12 Kane. We have a bunch of different looks for a mask Kane, and this is what I was talking about with the Elite 12. He's got more of the glossy boots versus the laceless ones. And the attire is pretty much the same. Same design on the side of the pants. Same design on the other side. And you know what? I said I did not like this. For some reason, I thought this was molded, but it's painted on. So I'm going to give Mattel props. I do like this belt, even though it's not sculpted on. It is kind of free-floating, but I don't think this is going anywhere, and probably more cost-efficient for them just to sculpt a belt to throw on here. But definitely do appreciate that extra added detail. And we'll get a close-up on this head scans. And if I could bring back the other one. Definitely, I'm going to say the Ultimate Edition, to me, head looks better. I do like that. And if you want to bring in the Kane as Undertaker head, I always felt this figure was just a little too tall. Those are different heads. Let's see, how do they stack up height-wise? Yeah, I mean, the ringside figure is a little taller, but again, I always thought that figure was just a little too tall. I don't know if it was the head, but he stacks up pretty well versus the Elite 12. I don't know, which one is your favorite Kane? They all look pretty good. You can't go wrong. The Ultimate Edition one definitely is fire, though. And I just want to make one other quick note. The voice changers are slightly different, just slightly. One is painted a little different, but more or less really are the same. And I did say I was going to mention this with the Elite 12. Remember, this piece was unpainted on the inside. Before we get into some Undertaker comparisons, if you guys are enjoying this video, please make sure to hit that like and subscribe button down below. I really do appreciate each and every single one of you checking out this review and really trying to build this page going forward. But, you know, jumping into the comparisons, you know, I have a bunch of different Undertaker figures, and, you know, I'm not even the biggest fan of his, but he's so iconic, has had so many different looks throughout the years. Figured it'd be appropriate to bring Undertakers in from different eras and generations. In no particular order, I have the most recent Legends figure, one of my favorites. Always love the Purple Glove Undertaker. I have a figure from his later run, kind of the early 2000s. Also have the American Badass Undertaker. We have the San Diego Comic-Con figure. And if I can squeeze one more in, we'll get these guys aside. We have a current modern day Undertaker. And if you want to bring in this head scan comparison, I know you guys say it's a modern day Undertaker look. It is a very similar scan. The hair is definitely different. You know, it looks like they even just sculpted a little more up here. But the hair sculpt in the back is definitely different. So I can definitely see where the complaints are coming in, but I don't know. I don't think it's a big deal. I feel like there's worse things to complain about. But just to give you some different ideas of how this new Ultimate Edition kind of stacks up against a bunch of other Mattel Undertakers that we received before. And height-wise, he seems to stack up too. Doesn't seem to be, you know, any taller or any shorter, so that is great. You can see the size difference in the arms. I feel like Mattel has used they've used some bigger ones. I think the Defining Moments earlier one where that teardrop had the bigger arms, but I feel like for the most part they've been giving them kind of smaller, skinny arms just to give you some ideas of how they stack up. And I will say, I know a lot of people complained about this head, but this would look great on like this Undertaker figure, or even like maybe some of the modern day ones. But that's an idea to play with for the extra heads if you guys are not going to put on the Ultimate Edition figure. So no, we're not quite ready to wrap this video up. We do have some more comparisons to do, and you know, these versions of the Undertaker and Kane really represent both superstars from the height of the Attitude Era. And I thought it'd be fun to bring in some other Ultimate Edition figures that kind of matched Kane and Undertaker from the Attitude Era. So we have the Ultimate Edition Series 6 Rock. The Ultimate Edition Series 10 Stone Cold Steve Austin. Definitely had plenty of feuds with both the Undertaker and Kane. The very hard to find Ultimate Edition Series 5 Shawn Michaels. That is definitely going to be fun to pair him with some pictures with the Undertaker, or even Kane from his debut. Someone can recreate that. And the last figure I want to bring in is not an Attitude Era figure. I just want to bring him in because he's got a little more size versus, you know, the other Ultimates. We have Brock Lesnar. He's got a little bit of a bigger torso. And you can see how he stacks up with the rest of the Ultimate Edition figures. And I was wrong. I want to correct myself. So I said that Kane and Undertaker have the bigger arm mold like Brock Lesnar. This Ultimate Edition figure seems to have a smaller arm. Bringing in Kane, you can see it's a little more easier to tell without the elbow pads. But you can see the Kane arm is way bigger than Brock's. So I want to say this is probably based on the arms that they're using for the current Hulk Hogan Survivor Series figure. More of the bigger arms, the double jointed pinless elbows on that. But here are your Ultimate Edition comparisons. And no, we're still not done. I thought this would be a fun one to bring in. So we do have the legendary Paul Bearer. Oh, yes! Stacking up with the Undertaker and Kane. And these three figures will definitely look great displayed together on a shelf. But wrapping this video up, I mean, as far as the Undertaker goes, highly recommend it. I don't know if there really are any complaints. I know people were complaining about the head sculpts, but to me, these were just throw-ins. This, without a doubt, is probably my favorite. Remember, that head is the only one that'll fit on with this entrance coat, so that's something to keep in mind. Only complaint I have maybe is I wish we would have gotten maybe another open hand to go with this one, because we haven't received it with any other Undertaker figures, and you know, the other kind of Mike holding hands or slightly more open hands we've got tons of over the years and could have swapped those out. If there was one complaint, my boot has kind of a little bit of a loose kind of spin to it and a loose joint on the knee, but you know, it doesn't affect him from standing, so I'm not even going to sit here. That's really just a nitpick. As far as Kane goes, you know, this really bothered me, and that's going to be my major gripe, only because I feel like we're paying such a premium for these figures. Like, come on, man. I don't want to hear that you're not going to see displayed on shelf. Like, that's a big deal. Like, as a consumer, $33, $35 is a lot of money to spend on a toy. But other than that, I will go on a limb and say this is probably the best Kane figure we've gotten. I mean, since Elite 12, and that figure really stood the test of time for me in my collection. That was the Kane I had front and center displayed as my favorite version of him. But, you know, you do get two beautiful heads, so I mean, if you wanted to grab two of them and have, you know, two different displays, you know, maybe have one with this coat on. Personally, I will not be displaying with a coat. It's cool. I didn't think it was needed. It's a nice throw-in, just like the Undertaker heads. But, you know, I definitely do highly recommend both these figures. And if you are interested in grabbing them, they're shipping now from ringsidecollectibles.com. Don't forget to use code 4LIFE to save 10% off your order. I'll be posting a ton more pictures on my Instagram at AlexWestCollects. You know, some fun different poses. So if you want, check me out on there and follow me on Instagram. So wrapping up this video, I hope you guys enjoyed and take care.